In this video, we are going to go through the history of the Olympics from the very first Olympics to our present day Olympics we experience today. The Olympics is one of the biggest events in the world. These days, every 4 years, the entire world sets aside their conflicts with other countries and gets together to compete against each other in a wide array of sports. I remember growing up watching the Olympics with my family. And I remember when I was a little girl in gymnastics, looking up to Olympic gymnasts and only dreaming that I could be like them one day. This semester in class, we talked about the ancient Greek Olympics that started out as a religious festival with an element of sports competition. But today, we think of the Olympics as a sports competition with an element of religion. So how did the Olympics go from one to the other? Well, throughout the next few minutes, we are going to revisit history, starting with the ancient Greek Olympics and ending with the modern Olympics we have today, and everything that happened in between. In 776 BC, the first Olympics was held in Olympia, Greece, on the Peloponnese Peninsula. People from all around Greece gathered in one location for the purpose of worshiping Zeus or the other gods on Mount Olympia. Another reason people came together was to raise their social status. It was a great time for people to get noticed by others. Although it was primarily a religious festival, there was one sport event, which was a 200-yard foot race. There was only one Olympic champion, as there was only one event, and his name was Choropius. The champion received an olive branch wreath, as the ancient Olympic Stadium was located where Zeus's sacred olive tree was. In 600 BC, more events were added to the Olympics. This included more foot races, chariot races, and the 5-sport pentathlon. The pentathlon consists of the discus throw, the javelin throw, the long jump, wrestling, and running. One of the most unique events they added was pancration. Pancration is a violent mix between boxing and wrestling. Theseus, a fictional Greek hero, is the one who invented pancration. The goal of the sport was to kick or hit the other competitor down to the ground. Competitors fought to the death, and thus one competitor either passed out or the other competitor surrendered before that happened. How scary. In 146 BC, the Romans beat the Greeks in the war and took over their land. They were no longer independent and they were under Roman control, which also means they were technically in chains. The Romans didn't agree with the ancient Greek Olympics. The Romans kept a former Olympics president for a short time when Emperor Nero was ruling because they knew it was important for their political climate. However, the Romans didn't compete in the ancient Greek Olympics, as the Greeks and Romans saw the Olympic events differently because of their different cultures. The Romans saw the Olympics events as games played to entertain spectators, but the Greeks saw it as a contest for competitors to gain social standing. In 394 AD, Emperor Theodosius, who took over for Emperor Nero, and he opposed the Olympics that were built on paganism beliefs. So he basically stopped them altogether. He wanted his people to worship him instead of worshiping the ancient gods. The ancient Olympic Stadium in Olympia was destroyed because the Romans destroyed it. This was surely the end of the Olympics, or so they thought. In 1859, Evangelist Zappas had the idea to start a sequence of modern Greek Olympiads. Others witnessed his inventions, and they wanted to do the same things, but in different areas of the world. For example, William Penny Brooks, in conjunction with Baron Pierre de Coubertin, held the first British Olympic Games in 1866. They were very successful at first, but then their spectators and competitors lost interest. So, in 1892, Baron Pierre de Coubertin approached the Olympic Committee about his idea for an international Olympics. they decided to set up an International Olympic Committee for these Olympics that would oversee the Olympics every 4 years. And Coubertin was the second president of the committee. 300 athletes competed in 43 events in the first modern Olympics in Athens, Greece. All countries had to agree to pause their conflicts and maintain a time of worldwide peace and unity. This was not a time to come together to worship the gods of Olympia as they did in the past, because people came from all around the world, so they all had different religious backgrounds. There were aspects of paganisms in the opening and closing ceremonies, but everyone really attended to see who the best athletes in the world are in each sport. In 1904, they started giving out gold, bronze, and silver medals to the winners, instead of just an olive branch crown to the first place winner. This was another step away from religion and the Olympics, as the olive branches honored Zeus, and the medals were more generic, as everyone in the world didn't have the same religious beliefs as the Greeks did. In 1924, the first Winter Olympics were held at the same time as the Summer Olympics. But in 1994, they finally decided that the Winter Olympics would alternate with the Summer Olympics every 2 years. Events were split between the two Olympics. In the Winter Olympics, competitors took part in events like ski jumping, ice skating, bobsledding, ice hockey, and curling. The Winter Olympics had events like gymnastics, volleyball, swimming, track and field, badminton, golf, and boxing. See, we've come a long way from the ancient Greek Olympics, but we also want to honor their history. Thank you so much for watching my presentation today, and I hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot.